What stranger will you never forget? When I was in elementary school I fell through ice. A man who was walking his dog saw me fall and rushed to the shore. I frantically swam back to the shore. I was only about 5 meters into the pond, so it wasn't a long way, but it took some with soaked winter clothes. When I reached the shore, the man pulled me up by my jacket. It would have been difficult to get up, as there was a steep incline. I didn't thank him, because I was in shock, but I bet he knows I was grateful, and 20 years later I still hope I would have thanked him. I skidded out on black ice like 15 years ago and my car spun several times, then slammed into a guardrail/snowbank facing traffic in the opposite way. A man who was walking to the train ran over, pushed me out of a snow embankment and then pushed my car into a parking lot. He got me out of the car and made sure I didn't have a horrible concussion and then waited for me to call my dad. I lived close, so he listened to me confirm my dad was like 3 minutes away and then took off running to catch his train. There was so much black ice and cars were sliding all over. He very easily could have saved my life. I wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup today, but I will never ever forget his kindness. What happened after? Did you just walk home in wet clothes or something? Genuinely curious. I was doing tech support and my customer was so happy with my service she offered to marry me to her daughter. I politely declined. Do you also accept daughters for payment? Well, that escalated quickly. I was waiting for my appointment with an optometrist when an old Haitian man walked in with a grocery bags. Thai receptionist knew him, so he walked up to me and proceeded to ask me riddles. When I finally got the answer to one, he reached into his bag and gave me a Snickers, then left. To this day I'm really curious as to what would motivate a man to become a wholesome riddler. You experienced a random encounter, my dude. This kid I knew in school, senior year of HS, decided one day to give out neckties to as many people as he could. No explanation, no requirements, he'd just walk up and say want a tie, then pull one from his bag, hand it to you, and walk away. Chaotic good. The foreign exchange student and his parents who walked past my park bench on campus and dropped his passport. I chased after them to return it and his mom started screaming at me in broken English like, why you have his papers? Why you steal his papers? While the kid and his father looked like they were going to die from embarrassment. Foreign Karen lol. You never answered her questions. Why you have his papers? Why you steal his papers? I was driving down south with my girlfriend, we have a blowout, so I put on the donut. The donut blows out while we're exiting the very next exit. So there we are, maybe 19 and at least 100 miles from anyone we know, at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. I'm thinking on what to do next, and probably looked like there was something wrong, so this older man offered to help. He drives me 20 or so minutes to a junkyard to get a cheap tire. Then he puts the tires on the rim with no more than a pry bar and some soapy water. Had a compressor on his truck, so he aired it up and I put it on. And we went on our way. Or we need more people like that guy in the world. I have a very similar story. I'm a minority born and raised in the South. My family was once taking a family vacation when I was around 12 years old. We had a blowout in Georgia on our way to Florida. We put a donut on and got to a gas station 15-ish miles from where we were, where the donut blew as soon as we were trying to leave and find a Walmart or somewhere to buy a tire. We waited a while, cars driving around us, etc., no one helping. Then all of a sudden, you hear loud-ass country music coming nearer and nearer. Then you see it. It was a lifted 1980s Dodge Ram, with 2 Confederate flags mounted in the back. Dude hops out of his truck, wearing his Confederate flag trucker hat, and flannel shirt with the arms cut off. He is what you imagine when you have to imagine the most redneck person ever. His belt buckle was fucking huge, he had cowboy boots on, etc. Anyway, Dude comes over and we are expecting him to be racist AF, but instead, he grabbed some chains and rigged the car to be towed behind his truck. He drove us to Walmart, and bought us a new tire, refusing to let us pay or give him any money for the help, and then we were on our way. I'll never forget him peeling off singing to some Tim McGraw edit. Guys, this is just a wholesome story. Don't buy me awards. Save your money and go over to r/random_acts_of_pizza and feed someone who is hungry instead. As a Redditor who once could not afford to feed myself more than 3-ish times a week last year, this subreddit literally saved my ass. Support them. Or somewhere like r/assistance. Link to list by r/assistance, that is, of other subreddits that can help you, allow you to help others. There are a few. The biggest one was when I was homeless and asked a lady for the time. She told me and asked if I wanted to share her sandwich and the paper. She was the first person to treat me like a person, like I was worth something in years. I never got her name, but I will remember her fondly for the rest of my life. I know that she'll never, ever know what a difference she made in my life. Just that one simple thing she did and the humanity she showed me changed my life. I got sober just a few days later and completely turned my life around. One person, one smile, one kindness that you may never think of again in your life can change someone else's life beyond measure. I was at a pool bar at a resort in Jamaica. A British lady next to me asked me the most random question, which turned into a nearly 3-hour conversation. The question, what is a redneck? It was a lot more difficult to explain than I thought it would be. I didn't realize that was an unknown concept to a lot of Brits. Reminds me of an old joke for some reason. What's the difference between a cowboy and a redneck? Acreage. I met a guy from New Jersey at a pool bar at a resort in Jamaica. He was much older and we just talked and shot the shit, did impressions. I did my best Jersey accent, drank more and more whiskey and stayed until the pool was closing, and we both went up to our rooms and never saw or spoke again. I was drunk on my front porch one night. Me and a couple of friends were shooting the shit. I lived in a rough neighborhood at the time. Lots of homeless people, but most of them were decent people just down on their luck. Anyway, I see a homeless guy walking by my house and I holler out to him, "Yo man, you want a beer?" And he's like, "Man, hell yeah, thank you." So he comes up into the yard, I give him a beer and an extra one for the road. He starts going on about how he misses his son and how he never gets to see him anymore. We all sit and listen to him. He starts crying and says he bought his kid a bag of brand new Hanes socks and his mom wouldn't let him have them. Now I don't know what he did to deserve such treatment. Maybe he's a total son of a bitch and deserves to be where he is, maybe not, I have no idea. But what I do know is, whatever his past, he was having a very human moment at the time, and he was super thankful, not just for the beer, but that me and my friends were listening and talking with him. Just letting him vent. Then he tries to give me the pack of socks he bought for his kid, which I vehemently refused. I was like, "Man, you keep them, your feet might get cold out there." But he wasn't hearing it. I mean, he refused to keep them. He flat out insisted that I take them. Eventually it became obvious he wasn't gonna take no for an answer, and he wore me down and I accepted them. I guess he didn't need the reminder. He moved on and the party vibe was completely gone. We all just went inside and crashed. About a year ago I fell off the wagon and was back to drinking heavily every night. In about July, some random dude from the apartment complex said he was homeless but crashing on his buddy's couch for the weekend, was walking by. I offered him some beer and smokes to keep me company since it was late night outside and I was spooked. He told me about his current life issues and how alone and unsupported he felt. We talked for hours. In November I happen upon him again, but he's dressed much nicer and has a bounce in his step. He explains that talking to me that night really helped him get his ass into gear. He gave my drunk ass that look, said if I can do it, you can. You're never alone. I'm nearly 2 months sober again with zero interest in picking up a bottle. I've officially started therapy, and have clear but manageable goals laid out to help me move forward. If he can do it, I can. Edit, thank you all for the awards. The show of love and support has me in tears. Thank you all, for just being you. Never forget that you're not alone. Don't forget to take the time to care for yourself. Let yourself cry. Celebrate the little wins. There's always a silver lining, no matter how small, so notice it. If Nick can do it, we can too. What did you do with the socks? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.